Hello and welcome. I'm Eric Rasmussen with Generation Systems, and today we are looking at the new LUBE-IT Mobile Routes for Windows 10 tablets. This exciting product builds on the success of our handheld routes that many of you, our customers, currently use. Let's start by looking at some of the key differences and improvements. The new LUBE-IT Mobile Routes includes a Sync Manager app that's installed on the tablet. This directly accesses the LUBE-IT database. This means you no longer need to connect via USB cable to a desktop PC. And it also means no more problems with Microsoft's Windows Mobile Device Center. In fact, access to a desktop PC is no longer needed at all. Now each Lube Tech can sync their routes to their tablet using nothing more than the tablet itself. The use case could look something like this. They come into the maintenance office in the morning and pick up their tablet. They go to a known Wi-Fi hotspot, then run the Sync Manager and select the desired routes. In seconds, the routes are downloaded and they're free to go do their work. Once work is done at the end of the day, it's just as simple. Walk to a known hotspot, tap the Sync Manager icon to upload the routes to the main LUBE-IT system, then turn in the tablet and go home. And we realize most of you don't have plant-wide Wi-Fi, but don't worry, it's not needed. Adding to the good news is a new modern smartphone-style user interface. A stylus is no longer needed, and with a much larger screen, people will find it easier to use. In a minute, we'll see the new program in action. But first, let's review some of the requirements. First, LUBE-IT Mobile Route should work with almost any Windows 10 tablet from any manufacturer, though we highly recommend and advise a ruggedized tablet with a 7 to 8 inch screen. The new LUBE-IT Mobile Routes is compatible with main LUBE-IT Systems version 5.3 and also the currently released version 5.4. As a side note, we always encourage you to be at the most current version, so if you haven't updated your main LUBE-IT system to 5.4, now is the time. And also, you'll need an annual maintenance license that is current in order to install the new product onto a tablet. One more important point that I neglected to put on the slide, we've worked hard to make sure this new mobile route app can be used seamlessly and alongside the handheld routes you already have. So this means you can buy one tablet, try out this new app with no worries of disrupting the way you currently work. Now we're going to move to the live demo. All right, here we are on the rugged Windows 10 tablet. And we have a couple icons here related to LUBE-IT Mobile Routes. On the left is the Sync Manager. As I mentioned earlier, this is new and it's brought to the device. And then on the right, we have the LUBE-IT Mobile Routes app itself. So I'm just going to tap the sync icon. And so this is going to create a direct connection to the database. So in order to do that, we're going to need a network connection. So in order to do the sync part of this, you need to be near a Wi-Fi hotspot or have another network connection, say a USB dongle if you want to use a hard wire. And then what we're going to do is log in. And the login you use is the same login you use for the main LUBE-IT system. They're one and the same. So I'm just going to use admin. And then I'll tap the submit button. And so now we're going to create that connection to the LUBE-IT database, and we'll be able to see the routes that are available in this week's work release. And also, since I'm logged as administrator, I see all the routes that were released. If I were logged in, say, as Andrew, Bill, or Steve, I would only see the routes that were assigned to me for the week. But let's select a few of these routes. And then all I need to do is tap the sync button down here at the bottom. And then in a few seconds, the data we need for those routes are down on the tablet, and we can just go to LUBE-IT Mobile Routes app itself. It'll just take you automatically there if you like. Now the nice thing is I can turn off my Wi-Fi or walk out of a Wi-Fi hotspot or pull my cable, whatever. I don't need a connection now. I can go out into the plant and run my routes. So here we can see the routes that we selected and synchronized. I'm going to tap on the pulp machine route here. And as you can see, we have, you can scroll through the routes, through the tasks on the route. And we'll just start with sequence 2. And sequence 1 and 3 weren't released this week, so they're not shown. And also you get your green icon and your red exclamation mark for past 2 tasks, etc. And a lot more information on the screen, the task list, than you did on the prior product. So I'm going to tap sequence 2. And then here we are at all the details for the task. We have the sequence number in the upper right-hand corner, the system or area of the plant, the piece of equipment. Also, the nice thing is the location is shown right here. And the component, the lube product to use, things like the number of points, the capacity, the task type, whether shutdowns required, etc. So now I can go perform this task, and then in order to let the system know I've completed the task, I just tap the Mark Complete button. And as in the previous system, it turns green, so you get a visual feedback. In case you're using gloves, you may not get that tactile feedback. And then to move to the next sequence, I just tap the next button with my finger. And now we're at sequence 4. And this is an inspection task, inspect task here. And so there's a procedure associated with it. So I can just tap the procedure and see the details for that. And if it was longer, I could scroll up and down. And then I just hit the back button in the upper right-hand corner. And it takes me to back to the task. And then again, I can just tap the Mark Complete button. Okay, and then for sake of example here, I'm just going to tap through and mark a series of these. You can see up here the right-hand corner as the sequence numbers change as I'm just working my way along the route and completing these tasks. There's a few other things I want to show you a little bit further in my example data. Okay, so now you notice we've got some additional fields here, and that's because this is a consumption tracking task. This component, we've said we want to track consumption at this. So now when I mark this task as complete, it brings up a spot where I can enter the actual consumption amount. And 0 is fine, but maybe we put in a little bit of lubricant, then we can just tap the OK button. And the nice thing here, that's again another improvement on this new version of LUBE-IT Mobile Routes, is we have the ability to come back and edit. We can see the value we entered once we've entered it, and if we see we fat fingered, we can go back in and re-edit that. And then I'll hit the next button, and we also then have buttons for skip and adding trouble items in. So let's take a look at the skip item first. So we just tap skip, and then here's the list of skip entries that were made in the main LUBE-IT, so you can publish what's shown here, affect what's published here. And so maybe you know, they can't find the product, they're out of particular grease tubes or something of that nature, then that's recorded. And again, another nicety is we can actually show the short description right in the button face, so that you can make sure really quickly and easily that you've entered the right value. And then we'll tap the next button, and let's put in a trouble notice. So here we just tap the Add Trouble button, and then we get our list of trouble types that have been entered into the system, into the main LUBE-IT system that came down when we did the sync. And so maybe we'll take a moderate fluid leak. And you know, you can type some other pieces of information here using the on-screen keyboard. And then you just tap the OK button. And now we've got the red and the trouble text shown, so that we, again, can confirm that we've entered the correct trouble type. All right, so now we can come to the next task and just continue on working the route, or I can hit the back button here and we come back to our list of routes. And now you can see a visual representation as far as these progress bars as to how much work's been completed on the route now that I've completed some of those tasks. And you also see, I think you can probably see the yellow, and that's for routes that have been skipped. So you can continue then just to tap another route, go work that, do as much work as you can do, say, in a day. And since it's so easy to sync, really recommend you sync every day, because then back in the main LUBE-IT system, you can see progress as it's going on during the week. So how do I get the information back? Well, I've got to walk back towards a Wi-Fi hotspot, get a network connection, or maybe plug in a dongle, and then I just tap the sync button here. And it asks me if I want to switch to the sync manager. Okay, so now we're back at the login screen for the mobile sync manager. So I can just, again, log in. I'll just use admin and then tap the submit button. And now all the information is being sent back up to the main LUBE-IT system automatically. You don't have to do anything. It just automatically sends it up whenever you go into the sync manager. Any information for this person on the tablet, it's sent up. And once that's completed, again, you'll see we get the list of routes. So if I wanted to, I could synchronize some routes, sync some routes for tomorrow that I wanted to work tomorrow, and just have my tablet ready to go tomorrow. Or we can just exit out of the LUBE-IT Mobile sync and go back to the main LUBE-IT system. Okay, here's the requirement slide once again for your review. And remember, you can start using this new app with no worry of disrupting how you currently work. Barcode and RFID are in development now and should see general availability in the second quarter. Win 10 tablets have greater capabilities, which open the door to a host of future enhancements we are excited about as well. Here are a few of the enhancement ideas we have in mind. Displaying attachments. So let's say in your main LUBE-IT system you have attached a file to an equipment, component, or procedure. It could then be viewed on the tablet using mobile routes. Another would be the ability to view existing trouble notices for the equipment while working along a route. Also, the option of taking a picture when creating a new trouble notice.